My name's Louis Largent. We got special guests in the studio, and they are the band the Goo Goo Dolls. And this is Johnny, this is George, and that's Robbie. And Robbie plays bass, George plays drums, and you play guitar, and you guys both sing. Correct. And, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, they're not from Seattle. Thank you. Yeah. From probably the most unobvious place for a band to be, I can't think of off the top of my head any band that is from Buffalo, New York. And we were talking earlier that is there in fact a burgeoning Buffalo scene, and there's some names that weren't too obvious that are from Buffalo that you guys mentioned.
Yeah, Rick James is from Buffalo, and Joe Public.
Right.
And Billy Sheehan, Mr. Big.
Mr. Big bass player?
Mr. Big shot bass player.
Mr. Big and Mr. Big.
And Doc Severinsen lives there now.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he lives there now. He hangs out in a little suburb called Orchard Park, I believe.
Now, what kind of music scene is there in Buffalo? Is there a...
I think the scene's pretty small in itself. There's not a lot of clubs to play and stuff. We've kind of, you know, our group of friends have kind of been bringing shows for a long time, but it's a lot of bands, just not a lot of places for the bands to play.
There's not a lot of venues for the bands to get into and stuff. You know, there's a real big kind of cover band scene.
Right.
You know, a lot of those Crystal Mist kind of bands with names like that, you know.
But it's shrinking rapidly, thank God.
Did you guys, now, first of all, how did you guys all meet each other? Were you guys lifelong friends, which it seems like you are, just not knowing you at all, really. And did you guys start out as a cover band? Was that your thing at first?
No, just foolish college kids, you know.
We played a lot of covers when we first started because we didn't have enough material to do a whole set, you know. So we were...
What were some great covers that you did early on?
We covered like Steve Miller and Blue Oyster Cult and you know, Cream.
Did you do Godzilla?
No, we didn't do Godzilla.
We probably tried
wound
at
up
one
doing
point.
Godzilla, but you know.
And then so did you guys all meet each other in college?
Yeah. All running around, hanging out in the college ghetto together, you know, in Buffalo.
And did you all have particular instruments at the time, or did you go, well, I can kind of play guitar, and well, you want to be in the band too, so why don't you play the bass? Did it happen like that?
Well, actually, they were in separate bands, and I kind of played with each of their bands, and then I was into sort of different things than they were, and we kind of found each other interesting, I think. Because no one else did.
I mean, me and George were really into I was more into the hardcore kind of punk rock stuff, you know, and you know, obviously into, you know, that mid-'80s, you know, Midwestern sound kind of thing, which was great. You know, it's still great stuff. It was just the only real form of rock and roll which was going on at the time, you know. And you know, we all found each other, just said, hey man, let's do a band. You know, we had a keyboard player in our band for the first rehearsal. But
kind of the Pete Best of the group.
Yeah, she's gone.
Or she
was gone after that.
Well, we're gonna have more from the Goo Goo Dolls later on. Right now, from San Francisco, it's Primus. They just had their last album, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, certified gold. This is a video from their third album, Pork Soda. It's called My Name Is Mud. From their 1990 album, Hold Me Up. That's Goo Goo Dolls with There You Are here in 120 minutes. And here they are. That video was filmed in a baseball stadium in Buffalo, New York.
That's right, with the Spinal Tap haircuts.
And Richard Marx saw that video probably when it was here on 120 Minutes when it debuted, and said, what a concept for a video. I'm going to film mine in a baseball stadium.
Yeah, because he's more famous than we'll probably ever be, so he can do those kind of things.
Right, except you didn't have the dramatic, you know, the game-winning home run.
No fantasy sequences.
See, these guys are they're true innovators, because also, if Johnny used to have long hair in that video, as you can see, and quite coincidentally, or not quite coincidentally, I think, Bon Jovi saw that do and said, gotta have it. And then, you cut your hair, and then Bon Jovi said...
Me and John are old friends. Right. You know, we're all a couple of old New Jersey guys, even though I'm from Buffalo.
Right.
And, you know, he called me up and said, Johnny, what do you think I can do, you know? It's just not like it used to be in the mid-'80s. You know, the long raincoat with the sequins on, it's just not working anymore. I said, John, cut your hair off. You know?
Right.
And he said, all right. Yeah, I said, look, I'll do it if you do it. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And then that's how we got it going.
Okay, your new album, Superstar Car Wash, it is your fourth.
Correct.
And I'm gonna stroke your ego and say it is your best album today. We're gonna talk more about that later. It was a former top 10 alternative album, and we're going to look at this week's top 10 as well as coming back with the Goo Goo Dolls later on. I'm Louis Largent. My special guests tonight are the Goo Goo Dolls, and the new album is called Superstar Car Wash. Looks like it's going to be your most successful record to date. So far it is. Why do you think that is? My personal opinion, I think this is probably the best produced record you've ever made. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think we had money this time for the first time to make a real record. You know, we spent a lot of time with our old producer working on a lot of pre-production stuff. His name's John Petrie, and then Gavin came in and kind of buffed out the rough edges that we still had to go. And
I mean, we're working with a bigger record label as well. You know, I mean, we're with Warner Brothers now, so it was like, you know, they were more knowledgeable about what we were all about. You know, as opposed to Metal Blade. You know.
Is the songwriting becoming easier? Are you becoming more prolific, and as you mature in your older years, in your mid to late 20s now?
We're not so apt to write hardcore songs anymore. You know, I mean, kind of grow out of that. And get a little bit older. You know, I mean, not 20 anymore. So
I think we kind of wanted to do a different record this time. You know, there's no covers, there's no instrumentals. We've traditionally done a song with a friend of ours from Buffalo, Lance Diamond's his name, and this time we just wrote 14 songs and kind of wanted it to stand on itself. No gimmicks.
That does. It's a fine record. And speaking of Warner Brothers, who we were talking about earlier, on that fine label is also Belly, on actually Reprise Records, and that's coming up. They are going to be coming up with the video from their record-breaking #1 alternative album, and also world premiere from Midnight Oil, plus more with these guys, the Goo Goo Dolls, as 120 Minutes continues.
Hooray for us!
Yes. We are just 5 minutes away from a world premiere video from Midnight Oil here on 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. Our special guests tonight are the Goo Goo Dolls, one of the great live bands. I hate to say
And
this.
we're feeling sexy today.
Yeah. You're looking sexy, feeling good,
Thanks,
and I don't mean to stroke you guys again, but I'm going to, because like your live show is unbelievable. I had the greatest time when I saw you in San Francisco. You guys must just wing it big time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's exactly. It's like an improv thing, you know. We saw you at our last show too, man. You were out there. You were swimming over
Matter of fact, it
people.
looked like you were winging it.
I'm kind of bummed I never made it in the video, but I had a great time. And I remember you said, you go, God, you know it's going to be one of those nights when you hear Tommy Two-Tone 3 songs into the set. You guys ripped into 8675309. But do you have no set list? Do you just talk to each other and go, we're going to play this, we're going to play this?
No, we usually have a set list.
Yeah,
There's certain nights that are more conducive to
Right.
freewheeling.
8675309.
That was a punk rock show, you know. That was like okay, we may as well be in a basement with 100 of our friends drinking beer, you know, going nuts, and that was basically what the show was like, you know. So.
You just got off the road with Soul Asylum. Did your show change to a more like maybe straightforward attack?
Sort of a Reader's Digest version of what we do. We had 40 minutes, you know, so it was pretty much planned out. You know,
Well, you guys are going to be going back to Buffalo and then gearing up for the headlining tour that you're going to do fairly soon. Catch these guys. They are absolutely amazing live. I can vouch for them. We're going to continue talking with the Goo Goo Dolls. But speaking of playing live, Belly were here in New York playing New York City a couple weeks ago, and Alison Stewart from MTV News was there, and here is her report. It's 120 Minutes on MTV. I'm Louis Largent. These guys are the Goo Goo Dolls. We're about to look at We Are the Normal, which is the first single from Superstar Car Wash, and a song co-written by one of the gods of songwriting, Paul Westerberg. And I'm sure there's an interesting story behind the origin of this song.
No, but we could make one up.
Well, that's what I was talking to him on the phone, and he was saying, you know, make up a good lie, because it's really boring how we did it, you know. It was like, so it was like, no, we did it through the mail, you know. We sent him a cassette with the music on it, and then he popped it in his 4-track and wrote words over it and sent it back, and then that was it.
That was that simple.
Then we recorded it, yeah. You know, and and it was really funny because he was like, well, listen, I'll make up this fake name to put on your record, okay? And then he got a copy of the finished version. He's like, you can put my real name on it. Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah. So it was like, okay, man, cool, whatever you want to do.
Safeguarding himself, you know?
Yeah.
Did you know that you wanted to have a song with him on it, or was that just he just kind of did it on a whim and hoped it turned out okay?
I've always loved his songwriting. I think he's one of the greatest writers, you know, ever in rock, you know. And it was like, you know, it was kind of like you know, like Keith Richards getting to play with Chuck Berry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that was like one of your idols you get to work with. It was really great.
Now, you toured for, or opened up with them on their last tour. How did you end up hooking up? I mean, were you like huge fans before? Because he also likes you guys. And he actually sang in Alex Chilton, I Never Go Very Far Without the Goo Goo Dolls. So how was that first meeting?
A little weird, you know?
Scary.
A little strange.
But have you ever, well, never mind, I'm going to say
No,
something.
go on, say it, man.
Have you ever met somebody who you really, like, totally looked up to and then blown it and said the stupidest things?
Oh, yeah.
I did that with Westerberg, actually. I met him a long time ago. Robbie and I went to his concert, and we brought his our first album backstage. Our manager hooked it up, however, and I was like, wow, I'm meeting Paul Westerberg, and I handed him the album, and, you know, I was like, man, you were a big influence on me, and he's like, don't blame me. I was like,
And we don't.
you're a punk, man.
Okay, we're going to look at We Are the Normal from the Goo Goo Dolls. And we got their latest video still on the way, their first in about a bazillion years. And also the best kissers in the world and a brand new band called Crush. I'm Louis Largent. This is MTV's 120 Minutes. These guys are the Goo Goo Dolls. They're from Buffalo. They are a rock band. And yes, they have a new album out called Superstar Car Wash, which is based on...
Based on
George?
a car wash.
In Buffalo.
That simple, no other
Sonny's
reason.
It's that
Superstar
simple.
Car Wash.
It stands on its own.
Best
Now-
wash in town.
Do you know the owner? Was you or just
No, we drove by the car wash a lot, and we were just driving in the car talking about what the heck are we going to call our album, and it was right there, and we said, let's call it
that.
Superstar Car Wash.
How does the songwriting process work for you guys? You do lead vocals on about half of them. You do about half. Is it? Do you guys all sit together and write?
It works all different ways. I mean, I wrote some songs by myself. We wrote some songs together. Robbie wrote some songs. I mean, everybody in the band does some writing, you know. So it's a good thing, you know. You get a good mix of ideas, and that kind of keeps it from following a pattern and getting really boring, you know. 4 records into it, I mean, one person does all the writing, it's going to become formula.
Do you have to be in a certain state of mind to be writing? Do you ever think, like, usually, like, is it usually the more miserable you are, the more creative you are?
I was going to use that exact word.
The more anxious at 3 a.m. you are, I think the better you write, you know, when you're like sitting there in your living room and you can't get to sleep, you can't do anything, you know, and that tends to be the time when all these things.
When that sort of-
Sleep deprivation is always good for creative energy.
A little bit of delirium.
Right.
No.
Well, we're going to get back to videos right now, and a brand new band called, they're from Silver Spring, Maryland, and they're called Velocity Girl on the famous Sub Pop label out of Seattle. Their debut album is called Copacetic, and their debut video is Audrey's Eyes. And I'm Louis Largent, and I'm talking really funny. Missile are going to be explaining, and they have quite a lot of explaining to do, the story behind Detachable Penis coming up in just a few minutes, and we're going to have a brand new video from them called Why Are We Trapped? This is 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. These guys, the Goo Goo Dolls, have been here for the majority of the show. They got a brand new album called Superstar Car Wash.
And we are whipped.
And you are tired, and you're getting ready to
been a
go right now
long
back
120
to
minutes.
take a red eye back out to Buffalo. And what's your scoop for the rest of 1993? What's your plans?
I'm going to do some more touring. About 2 weeks. Going to leave. A band called The Muffs opening up for us. And
they're also on Warner Brothers, so that'll be a good double bill. You know, they're a new band. Actually, 2 of the girls were in the Pandoras, so they kind of have a history. And
wait a minute, let's make this exciting. What are we really going to do?
we're going to throw TV sets out windows.
Out of hotel room windows.
But you got to do it in the rock
drinks.
voice.
The whole thing.
Well, baby, you know, I'm going to throw a TV set out the window in every town in America. That's my goal for the end of the year.
So lock up your TV sets and
And come and see us.
please.
There's an awful lot of TV sets in this room, Louis.
That's right. Hey, lock all of you guys. Julie, Rick. You gonna make any more videos too? What's the next single? Can we?
Well,
has that been decided yet?
it's been a push and pull between a couple songs, Falling Down, Because You're Gone. So we'll have to see.
What do you think it should be?
I think it should be.
You make the decision.
This is
right
national
here.
TV now, so this is going to pull some weight.
You know what song? This is this week's favorite song. As bright as you are, don't get burned by your lucky star.
There you go. Lucky Star.
Hey, wait a minute. no, you're gonna take my job away.
Believe me,
You know,
I'm never gonna take your job away.
You sing that pretty good. You sing that.
I'll take yours.
Okay. The thing that keeps happening is they keep changing their minds. I mean, there's like, they seem to think there's a lot of good songs on there, but I guess it looked like it was going to be Because You're Gone or Falling Down, you know, so that's cool.
Thanks for coming by, you guys.
Thank you very much,
Enjoyable
Louis.
enjoyable
Appreciate
to meet you guys. See them live. They're really great when they're on the road. And we're going to take a look at a brand new video right now from a New York-based band who's going to be hitting the road next month, and they're called Crush. You're going to recognize some of the people in this band. There's ex-Susie and the Banshees guitarist John Carruthers, ex-Killing Joke drummer Paul Ferguson, and vocalist Fred Schreck, who used to sing in a New York goth band called The Ancients. And Crush's self-titled debut album, it's in the stores. It just hit it. And their debut video is called The Rain, and here it is. Thanks for staying up with 120 Minutes tonight. I'm Louis Largent, and thanks very much to the Goo Goo Dolls. I don't know if I made it really obvious at all how much I love them. I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are amazing, I love you. They're great. Go buy their album and especially see them on tour, and we want to thank them for dropping by tonight. And right now, the final video on 120 tonight from New York's King Missile with a new clip from their album Happy Hour. It's called Why Are We Trapped? But first, John S. Hall has some explaining to do about this whole detachable penis thing. Here it is. That's King Missile with Why Are We Trapped? And that's the final video here on 120 Minutes tonight. And we definitely want to know what you thought of tonight's show or just any of 120-minute shows in general. And be honest, we're big boys. We can take it good or bad. All you have to do is send it to 1515 Broadway, 24th floor, New York, New York, 136. We want to thank, again, the Goo Goo Dolls for stopping by, and thank you for watching. For 120 Minutes, I'm Louis Largent. Bye.
What I do, here I go, 'cause I can't stop the world.